Today, there's so much in our lives that influences us, our environment, the people around us. Sometimes we don't even know what's influencing us, and that's what we're here to talk about. Welcome to the Influence Today podcast with Chet Tart and Terry Lyle.
Welcome to another episode of Influence Today. Actually, it's part 2 with Honest Abe, but you know how to pronounce his last name, right?
I'm not going to. I'm going to make you.
All right.
Abe, say your name.
Abe Dababneh.
There you
Dababneh.
go.
I just wanted to
They
hear
just
Chet,
need to
so
know
we don't
you.
want to botch it, man. We want to make sure it's right.
They just need to know you.
Is your website your name? Because, just curious.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I use my name as a website because it was so yours.
No.
You may not do that because you'd have to spell it phonetically, like you said. But it was great to interview you last time, and we were really excited to hear your story. And you made me want a cigar. So.
Well, I want to talk about, if you're listening to the show, we're talking about influence, and I think that you have done a great job of influencing people's smoking habits because knowing you and what you've done is remarkable. And I'd like you to go back and maybe in some of your thought process of starting this. I mean, you went from a cigar store to a marketing machine, in my opinion, because your exposure is unbelievable with a radio show, with a podcast, and you do this unique thing called The Great Smoke. Could you do a little bit of background about how all this came and how creativity came into this and what it has done for your business? I think people would be totally interested in this.
Well, I think creativity is the key to any marketing and successful marketing campaign. And you don't always have to be the originator of any idea, but I like to take sometimes great ideas and make them better. How do I improve on this idea? And a lot of people fall short because they're small picture minded. They're looking at the short term. The Great Smoke started as a local event, a few hundred people at our first one.
That was your idea, correct?
Well, I mean, it's not my idea.
No,
so,
it is.
I mean,
Okay.
Here's one where it technically is, but I'll explain. I mean, here's where I had a 10th anniversary party where we gave away a Harley Davidson, and we had probably 600 people for this event, and we had 4 different manufacturers. And after the event was over, a lot of us went out and we were having a couple drinks, and literally a guy was telling me, "Where do you go from here?" That was like one of the best events I've seen outside of a major organization, and I just mind blowing. He was blown away by it, and that was a great question he asked me. Where do you go from here? And Cigar Aficionado had started these things called the Big Smoke, and it was basically these mini cigar conventions that weren't about experience. It was mostly about a cattle call. You'd go there, you'd run around, get a bag full of cigars, and that was kind of it. That was it. It was basically meet a bunch of manufacturers and get in and out and get a cigar. But it had become so popular in the boom that there was one almost in every city. There was like 30 or 40 of them. And as time went on, these died down. Then at that time, I think there was only 2 cities, New York and Las Vegas, where they were doing it. And there hadn't been this type of event in Florida in 10 years. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to pull this type of event off. I mean, unheard of at my level, a little guy. I got 30 companies involved who all trusted me.
And how many stores did you have at the time?
3.
3. Okay.
Nice.
And what made it successful, where today we do it at the South Florida Fairgrounds, we get 3,000 people, not only from all over the country.
I know.
We had a guy fly in from Israel to come to the event this past February. They come from all over the country, all over the world, some people. And it's not a one-day event now. It starts on Wednesday and ends on Sunday. We tie in a bunch of... But what made it successful, where a lot of people fail, was the first 3 years I did this event, the last thing I was ever concerned with was making money doing the event. In fact, I lost money the first 2 years, and I think the third year I got close to breaking even.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to make sure, you remember this only started with a couple hundred people that were in front of the courtyard at the shopping center there.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I had to make sure that this would be an experience-based event. It wouldn't be just coming cow calling and getting cigars. And experience has always been what my concerns were in this event. And these guys would go back, and some of these guys would fly in and then come back the following year with 5 of their friends because they had such an amazing time. And there are guys today that come every year, groups of 10 and 12, that's what's been happening. So, you can't if you want to think long term on a project like this, you can't be worried about, the dollar right now, right? Because for me, that was advertising money. Yeah, it cost me money to do this event this year, but look how many people heard of me for the first time, and they're going to go back and tell 5 and 10 of their friends.
It's a lost leader kind of thing, and you know that going into it. You're going to invest in yourself. Yeah.
Yes, and now it's not only a profitable event. In fact, we donate 100% of our ticket sales to a charity, the Kids Cancer Foundation here in South Florida. We've been doing that charity, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's still a profitable event for me.
That's cool.
So you have to think long term when you do these kind of promotions, and realize that making the profit now today, if I don't give that person that experience, I won't have that profit tomorrow. You know, I've been a firm believer that if you sell the experience and you do what's in your customer's best interest to give them that experience, the profitability works itself out.
Yeah,
and
that
does.
It's the build and they will come kind of philosophy. You know, you focused on building an experience, a culture around this. Like you said, cigars just happen to be the vehicle, but there's all these other compensatory things going on around it. People are meeting people, they're networking. You know, they walk out of there with business cards. They're talking to each other. That's a cool thing.
You definitely have to go to one of these things. You have celebrities that show up, correct, Dave?
We've had Mayor Giuliani, we've had Ray Lewis, Gary Sheffield, we've had Armand DeSanti. Nice. And I feel bad for these guys when they come because it's a bombardment for them. But you know,
they like it.
There. Some of them do, some of them don't. You know, it's one of those things. But you know, the consumers love it, and that's who I'm doing it for. I mean, they love it. A lot of these guys don't get to meet these manufacturers. We bring the principals in, so they're meeting the guys who are actually own the companies and make their cigars, and they get interaction. And then we always have live entertainment and other side things that are going on. And that's one of the things after doing this event now for it's going on its 14th year next year.
14.
We've already started working on it for next year, believe it or not. It's one of the things that's the hardest thing is what can we do that's fresh? What can we do that's different?
Have you ever wrapped anything around a kind of a mini car show kind of experience?
We've never done like a mini car show. We've been involved like with Cars and Coffee and some local things, and I've done booze at Barrett Jackson's, but that's not my experience, right? I'm riding on somebody else's experience, right? And early on, those types of events like Barrett Jackson and whatever were very important to me because that's how I got my name out there.
Right.
You know, that's how I met new customers. But now after 23 years, at this point, if you're any type of cigar smoker in South Florida, you've heard about my company. So either you're a customer or you're choosing not to be a customer for whatever reason, location, where you're at, I mean, whatever. So those events aren't that important or attractive to me anymore because they serve their purposes. Now I make my own events.
Well, that's what I mean. But if you had a car show at your event, that's what I'm kind of envisioning that, you know, whatever your event is, I've never been there. So it'd be interesting to see what you bring next, you know, and how you put that together.
We try not to mix the things because like car show people are car show people, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Want to go for a car show. You know, one of the best advice that a friend of mine's father gave me early on when I was starting my graphics company that I had early on, and it really was, I still quote him till today. His name was Andy Lee. He said, "Abe, you just can't be at everybody's wedding."
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the best advice I use today, right? So, I mean, to have a couple, like we've had like Cadillac bring their new hybrid, Escalade hybrid out. You know, we featured a couple of cars, but not to have a car show, right?
Yes.
Because we don't want it to be about a car show.
Right.
But we've had cars there. We've had exhibitors there. So there's ancillary stuff, but it's a cigar-centric theme, and we have a website for it. It's called thegreatsmoke.com, and there's a Facebook page, and there's videos from last year, so you could see how incredible the event really is. I mean, it takes up 2 big buildings at the fairgrounds. It's pretty amazing.
What time of year do you do that?
We typically do it. Traditionally, the event had always started out the Saturday after Valentine's Day, so whatever the 14th was, that following Saturday. But now, since we moved to the fairgrounds, we're not at liberty to pick a date anymore because we used to do it in our parking lot.
Right.
And we kind of work around them, so it's what's available. So I think right now we're contracted for February 22nd. In 2020, which is a Saturday, but events will start as early as Wednesday or Thursday with some pre-parties, and I think this year we're trying to incorporate a golf tournament, which we never had before. We're looking to do a controlled bonfire pre-party event at the fairgrounds because we're trying to market to an RV society. You know, there's a big cult of RV people that love getting in their RVs and traveling, and the fairgrounds has slots for RVs. So
that's
a couple
cool.
of new things. It's a couple of new things that we're working on this year. But it literally starts like Wednesday and Thursday, and it ends with a brunch at our headquarters in Boynton Beach on Sunday, and then everybody typically will fly home. Or drive home.
If I may give you my experience, because that's when I first got introduced to you and cigars. It was an experience that, I never smoked before, and I was terrified. And a friend of mine said, well, try one of these. It's licorice. And I tried one of those. Not as bad as I thought it was, and then I moved on to other things. But it's a relaxing experience. There's a band, there's liquor, and you sit around and talk and smoke cigars, and there's food. And what was interesting about it, it is incredibly a great group of people, and it's a relaxing time. And I think that's what cigars, the experience you're talking about. Unless you have been to this, you just don't understand. I mean, the wow factor is that you gave out this bag that you can put cigars in, and they can last there for a while. You get 40 free cigars by going to this event.
It's included in the ticket price.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Ticket price includes all the cigars you're going to get from every manufacturer. You walk to each booth one by one. You get liquor and food included and entertainment included. And it's an experience. I mean, there's literally people who come and meet at this event. They see each other one time a year, and they look forward to it.
Wow.
My father was flying down here, who comes here for this event every year. Wouldn't miss it for the world. And he was coming with my uncle one year, and they were on a flight, and they happened to sit next to this couple that got on in the connection. And he happened to ask my dad, I heard you mention something about cigars, and we're landing in West Palm Beach. Do you know a place in West Palm Beach we get cigars? And my dad laughs. He goes, yeah, my son's got a shop. Come on by. And he started telling them about the event. And they're like, we would love to go to this. Is it sold out? And my dad goes, I think I know somebody who will be able to maybe get you some tickets.
Yep.
So this couple, I'm talking like 7, 8 years ago, John and Trixie, they were flying into town on vacation, ended up meeting my dad on a plane, came to this event, and have been coming here every year since.
Yeah. Well, it's addictive. I'll tell you, it's addictive. So he's a master marketer. I mean, if you go to, I've been to 2 of your places, and it's an experience. The one in West Palm Beach, you can sit outside a nice bar, pick your cigars, and Boynton Beach is the best Bloody Marys I've ever had in my life. And then in the middle of the place, you have this area where exclusive cigars that are very expensive, beyond my, but the marketing of it is great. Then Abe also has a radio show, and it's an internet show also, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, we started out as a radio show on Clear Channel Radio. The program director happened to be a customer. He goes, man, I listened to you talk. You should have your own show. I didn't want to do the show. A couple of the young guys that were working with me at the time had worked with Clear Channel at the time.
But listen to his voice. I mean, you have the best voice for radio.
I have the face for radio, I've been told.
Yeah, we all do. That's why we're doing it.
But it just started out as fun. We took 13 weeks, and we did an hour show, and all of a sudden, we became very popular. Yeah. And we wanted 2 hours, and it went to 2 hours, and that's when we, at that time, Clear Channel couldn't squeeze us in with 2 hours starting at 7 in the morning. We didn't want to start at 7 in the morning. And that's how we met Chet. We ended up coming over to CV Radio. The person who worked there at the time, Joey Neri, was another customer, says, come on to my station. And he actually, when we went to Clear Channel at the time, they basically threw us in a room and said, see ya. He didn't know nothing about radio. Joe was actually one of my first mentors, taught me how to rejoin, taught me what radio actually was. And over the years, we've gotten very good at it. And now I think at one point we're on 6 terrestrial radio stations between Atlanta, Tampa, New York, Gainesville, South Florida here. But the future of the show, honestly, the way it seems to be directing is our Facebook Live episodes, and we record them live on Facebook. And some of our we get 10,000 views within a couple hours of the show, and we have 19,000 average downloads of episodes on iTunes. Mm-hmm. So,
and I can watch it when I want to on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. And you can watch it where you want to on Facebook. You can watch it when you want to on YouTube. You could listen to it when you want through iTunes or the archives on our website. So, yeah, I mean, terrestrial radio is kind of, when I first got into this 6-7 years ago, we're approaching our 400th episode. I was very excited about getting on terrestrial radio, and it's not that important to me today anymore.
Right. Well, the world's changed, like everything else. I mean, how many shows do you watch on regular TV and can't wait till next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock? I mean, you just binge watch like 3 seasons in a week.
Okay. Tell everybody the name of the show and how to find you.
It's KMA Talk Radio. We have a website, www.kmatalkradio.com.
It's KMA. Slow down.
Yes.
KMA, and it stands for.
Well, KMA, the show was originally called Kiss My Ash Radio.
There you go.
There you go.
And that's how it started.
Right.
And we were getting, honestly, program directors having a hard time picking up the show just because of the name.
Yeah.
And one of the program directors in Atlanta sat me down and said, look, I'm going to give you some advice. Whether you take it, I don't care, but you need to change the name.
Mm-hmm.
So we did. We changed the name to KMA Talk Radio. Our fans know what KMA stands for.
Right.
And funny, after that, we got picked up by 4 different stations within the next 18 months.
That was good advice.
But I took the risk. But I took the
advice.
risk, Abe. Abe, I took the risk. I said, I don't know about that name. He goes, well, that's our name. I said, all right. I took the risk because I thought it would get attention.
Yeah, Chet will do that. I had a show there with him as well, and yeah, he's good about that. So it's awesome.
And then you could, in the show, actually, look, it's a cigar lifestyle show, right?
Right.
There are a lot. I'm the second longest running media in the cigar industry, media format show, and no one wants to listen to rapper, binder, filler for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's not the natural conversation that happens in a cigar shop.
Right.
If you sit here and you smoke a cigar in any one of our lounges, you will talk about women, you will talk about politics, you will talk about family, you will talk about life. And it's still cigar centric because we're all cigar smokers. So it's what we try to emulate on the show. And sometimes I'm my hardest critic. So when I listen back to a show and I chuckle or I laugh and I find it entertaining, I think we're doing a good job.
Absolutely.
And the greatest thing is you have created characters. It's not just people's name. Like you're called Honest Abe, and you have a few other characters on there.
Yeah, I mean we have the Brewmeister,
right?
Because he's the Brew King, and we have Paul the producer, the best we could afford.
Exactly.
That's what we call him. But that's what the cigar shop is.
Yes,
it's full of characters. I mean, actually, at one point in my career, I wrote a pilot called Kiss My Ash, and we actually had met with Damon Wayans, the actor, and the producer of his show at the time, which was my wife and kids, Don Rio. We met with them twice, once in California and once in New York, because I was basically writing about what I was living every day in my shop. If we weren't so tobacco oriented and this country wasn't such anti-tobacco, there would be a cigar shop reality series somewhere.
Sure.
Because if you can think of any kind of character, they all come in the shop.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's full of characters.
Before we leave, can you tell us how you got into opening a barber shop?
Well, look. Early on in my career, right, I needed an investor, and I had a vision. And sometimes it's not always easy to find somebody who has, will believe in your vision. And I was very fortunate enough to not only run into somebody who I had known for years and one of my patrons, but ended up being one of my closest friends and mentor. He passed away, God rest his soul, who believed in me, right? And, that's a big thing when you ask somebody to take their hard-earned money, right, and put it up in something that you believe in, that you don't know whether you're going to make it or not.
Right.
His picture hangs in every one of my retail locations. Is actually to the left of me right now, up in my office wall. Right, I always want him to see what we've created together, and I like to pass that forward. Right, I like to do the same. So we had a situation when we were moving our West Palm location, building the Davidoff Lounge and expanding. There was a empty bay next door, and the landlord approached me and he says, it was literally, we had a lot of interaction and conversation. So he got to know me. He says, look, I think you're a good operator. We'd love to have a good barbershop in the center. Are you interested in taking this bait and doing this barbershop? And I'm like, no. I'm bald. I don't know nothing about barbershops. And, it's not my thing, right? So he's like, why don't you think about it? And at that time, I had a young guy who had been cutting my hair. He worked in a barber shop, but because of my busy schedule, I don't get out during normal hours a lot. I'm tied at work. He would come by my house and cut my hair at night at my house personally, or sometimes here at work if I was working late. And I started talking to him and said, look, how long do you plan on working for somebody? Or, do you have any interest in doing your own thing? And we started talking, and he became very, very interested, managed to save up some of his money over the years, so he was smart, which is what I try to teach my young employees. Look, you may have an opportunity one day. You're not going to need $1 million, but someone will always take you a little more seriously if you have a little skin in the game, right?
Right.
So he had a little money set up. So I thought, look, a barbershop right next door, one, would be great because I think it's a synergistic business, right? Most men get their hair cut, barbershop next door, real easy. So I thought a lot of the traffic would flow over, and like anything else, I didn't create a barbershop, but I wanted to create something different. So movies has always been my passion. I've been a movie guy, and one of the things when you're sitting at a barbershop, there's nothing to do, right?
Right.
Sometimes you don't feel comfortable. You don't want to talk to the barber or whatever. So I said, wouldn't it be great if we just played movie clips? Not the whole movie, because no one's got an hour and a half to sit there.
Right.
But just played clips, the best 2 or 3 minute scenes of all these different movies. And that's why we called it Real Clips, like a movie reel. So our barbershop's called Real Clips. It's all movie theater based. And I also thought it'd be a good way for me not to have a neighbor who was going to end up complaining about being next to a cigar shop, which is another thing that we tackle in this business.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, you're a genius.
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of ancillary benefits, So, the model now is to look for freestanding buildings, so we don't have that problem. Because, believe it or not, there are people out there who just think they see. I've been out publicly with this unlit cigar, and a woman would start coughing and ask me to put it out. Right.
Right.
So, that's what we tackle, unfortunately. So I said, great, I got a neighbor I know that's never going to complain. It's me.
Right.
So, I still wanted to get out of it. After we had negotiated the whole deal, I came to realize there used to be a dental office there. That the demo work was going to be at least $30-some thousand, and typically that was going to, the way we had negotiated, that was going to be on me to do the demo work and the build out. So and literally in a last minute attempt to try to get out of this, I kind of said, "Oh, look, the only way I'm going to do this is if you do all the demo work and you give it to me vanilla shell," figuring he'd tell me to go jump off a cliff. He turns around and goes, "Okay." It's like, okay, and that's how I got in the barbershop business. And basically, this young man is my partner, and this is his shot.
Now, the barbershop place is in which area? Boynton?
It's right next door to the West Palm Beach store.
West Palm, okay.
No, Boynton's a freestanding building, so I have no neighbors. I'm free and clear. It's a big freestanding building. In West Palm, we're at the end of the center, so I only have one neighbor, which is myself, and it's Real Clips Barbershop.
I got to come and see that, yeah.
And they're all very skilled barbers. We do hot towel shaves, and you're never bored sitting there.
Where is it? Where is it in West Palm?
It's in the Village Commons Shopping Center off of Village Boulevard, which is right off of Palm Beach Lakes and I-95.
Gotcha. I know where you're at. Okay, cool.
Great. Hey, this has been fascinating. What I like to do is have you back again, and I want to talk about the cigar issue, the smoke issue, and things like that, and what's really going on in the state and things like that. If you don't mind, we'll do that again at another time.
Not at all. I'm in an unfortunate industry where the biggest threat every day to my livelihood is my own government.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's always a big topic for us.
Yes. Great.
Thank you, Abe, for joining us.
Great to have you.
This was
Thanks, guys.
fascinating,
Appreciate it.
interesting, and look forward to listening to your show on the radio and at Facebook. It's KMA, right?
KMA Talk Radio.
KMA Talk Radio.
Nice.
Thank you, Abe. You've been listening to Influence Today with Chet Tark, Terry Lyles. We're broadcasting from Venture X and PGA Boulevard. By the way, if you like the show, please hit like and share. We'd appreciate that. Influence Today.